Zach is an ugly, abused orphan kid. He was trafficked with a bunch of other children and sold to a middle-aged couple. When the couple got the children, all of them were dead except Zach. The woman forces Zach to bury all of the other children while they watch a movie. After Zach is done burying the other children, he goes inside and notices that the TV is open. On TV, he sees a serial killer murdering a couple, and that's when he finally snaps. He takes a knife from the kitchen, then enters the couple's room and murders them. After that, he goes for a stroll. A car drives past him through a puddle of water and splashes water on him. The woman from the car gets out and asks Zach if he is okay. That's when she sees blood all over his clothes and gets scared. Zach doesn't think twice and murders this random woman. Since he has nowhere to go, he sleeps in the woman's car. In the morning, he is woken up by an old man. Zach opens the door ready to kill this stranger. The old man asks if he is with his parents, saying that he couldn't tell because he was blind. Zach doesn't say anything, but his stomach makes a growling sound. The old man offers to feed him and takes him to his house. While he eats, the old man asks what he was doing out there. After getting no response, he asks him to stay with him if he has nowhere to go. Zach questions why he is being so kind to him. The old man says that he feels lonely living all by himself. Eventually, nighttime arrives and they both go to bed. After not being able to get any sleep, Zach decides to murder the old man to satisfy his killing desires. As he enters the old man's room, he thinks that killing the old man wouldn't be any fun. He then goes to take a stroll in the city looking for a victim to kill. While roaming, a drunk guy accidentally bumps into him. Zach takes out his knife and stabs the drunk guy in the back. After killing him, he throws away his knife and decides to return home. When he reaches back, he sees that the old man is awake. The old man asks him where he went. After getting no response, the old man moves closer and smells that Zach has blood on him. Zach confesses that he killed someone to satisfy his desire. The old man ignores that and asks him what he wants to do next, covering Zach up and telling him to sleep since he must be tired. When Zach wakes up, he sees the old man leaving. After waiting till night for him to return, he sees a note on the table on which it says, "I'm going to buy some tasty sweets. Wait for me." But Zach doesn't understand since he can't read. He thinks that the old man left him and starts breaking the furniture. Then he takes a knife and goes wandering again. While walking, he sees some police cars and finds out that there has been a murder. The man who was killed turns out to be the old man. He is enraged and goes to search for the person who killed the old man. He finds a couple laughing and talking about how they killed the weak old man for a few pennies. When the couple sees Zach staring at them, they try to scare him off. He remembers that it's murdering happy people that satisfies his desire. Zach takes out his knife, which scares the guy, and he falls to the ground. Zach quickly stabs him and then rushes toward the woman, pinning her to the ground and putting 20 holes in her chest. All this time, he remembers the old man asking him what he wants to do. At that moment, he makes it his life goal to destroy happy people and make them fall into despair. He also admits that he is a monster, but still didn't want the old man who cared about him to die. The scene then switches to a young girl in a strange room. The girl mutters that she needs to hurry back to her parents. She remembers that she came to a hospital for counseling, but she notices that this is not the hospital. There are lots of cameras everywhere. Then she sees a creepy elevator opening. Having no other choice, she gets into the elevator. That's when the system announces that she has been chosen as the new sacrifice. The elevator takes a few moments to reach the next floor. When it opens, the system announces that this is the play area. She gets scared but still enters because that is her only choice. After walking for a few moments, she hears the sound of glass breaking. She thinks someone may be following her, so she starts running away. As she is running, she sees blood on the ground along with a bird that is injured. She tries to catch the bird to treat its wound. That's when a sudden blast kills the bird. Zach appears while laughing hysterically. He gets excited as this girl's face turns into despair. He gives her 3 seconds to run away. As the count comes to an end, he chases her while laughing like a maniac. The girl finds a storage room, locks the door, and hides in a crate. Zach breaks the door with a swift move of his scythe. He thinks that the girl is probably hiding in one of the crates. Then he begins to pierce each crate with his scythe, but narrowly misses the girl in one of the crates. Zach concludes that the girl isn't there and leaves. After waiting for a few moments, the girl gets out of the crate and immediately starts running. While running, she sees the dead bird that was killed earlier. She says that this bird didn't look so pitiful, and the shine from her eyes suddenly disappears. Then she takes out a needle and thread from her bag and stitches the bird together like a doll. Meanwhile, Zach finds that the girl was indeed in one of the crates and sets out to find her. After running for some time, the girl stops to catch. her breath while reading the sign which says, "Elevator Passage." That's when she hears Zach laughing hysterically right behind her and gets startled. Zach says that he won't count this time and attacks her, but only misses because the girl ducks. The girl then runs towards the elevator while Zach chases her. The girl quickly gets into the elevator, and luckily, it closes right before taking a blow from Zach's scythe. The elevator climbs up and she reaches the second floor, which looks like a hospital. She starts running down the hallway. Suddenly, someone grabs her hand from behind. He calls her by name, Rachel. He introduces himself as Dr. Danny and says that he is her counselor, but Rachel is a bit suspicious since she doesn't remember anything. The doctor comforts her and tells her that he really is her doctor. The girl believes him and tells him that some maniac was chasing her and they should quickly get out of there. The doctor comforts her again by saying that the maniac won't come to this floor. Rachel believes him and they both go looking for the exit together. At the same time, Zach sees the bird Rachel had stitched together. The doctor takes Rachel to a wardrobe where he says that one of his eyes doesn't function and he wishes that he could have her eyes. Then he grabs her hand and takes her to the operating room. There he admires her eyes, saying that they are as beautiful as his mother's and he wants them for himself. But before that, he wants her to help him look for something and asks her to check the back room. When she enters the room, she is startled to see that there are hundreds of eyeballs filled in jars. As Danny enters the room, he tells her that he wants the eyes that are in the jar right behind her. She obediently hands them to him. Danny tells her to stay in the operating room since he is going to change his eyes in this room. He warns her that she will regret it if she tries to run away. Rachel thinks that she will be in trouble if she stays there. She tries to open the door but realizes that it's locked. She picks up the crowbar laying on the ground and forces the door to open. As the door opens, she realizes that the doctor is right behind her. Danny says that if she runs away, he won't be able to do anything to her. He also says that he wanted to see her living eyes forever, but now that she has betrayed him, he will take her eyes for himself. Danny pins her down on the operation bed and asks her to go back to her lively eyes. Rachel is terrified and is begging him to let her go back to her parents. Danny replies that she will soon meet them in hell. Rachel goes into shock and falls unconscious, and while Danny is shouting nonsense and getting all crazy, he gets stabbed in his chest. Turns out it's Zach. He came to this floor to kill Rachel, and he killed Danny because he was sounding way too happy. He tries to scare Rachel, but finds that she is unconscious. That's when the system announces that Zach is chosen as a sacrifice since he killed a resident of another floor. Zach thinks the best option is to run. He goes back to the elevator, but it doesn't open. That's when Rachel wakes up and slowly mutters that she shouldn't be alive. She then goes to Zach and asks him to do her a favor by killing her. He tells her not to screw around and do something about the elevator door. She says that she will open the elevator if Zach kills her. Afterwards, Zach says to stop spouting nonsense and open the elevator first. Rachel goes back into the operation room and uses Danny's key to open the elevator. Zach tells her that the only reason he isn't killing her is because of her dead, boring eyes. He promises that he will kill her if she helps him to get out of there. Then they share names and get into the elevator. The elevator climbs up and reaches the next floor. When they leave the elevator, Rachel notices that there is something in the water. Zach doesn't pay attention and tells her to move on. Rachel asks if he knows this building well enough. That's when Zach reveals that he only came here because he could kill anyone he wanted. As they walk down the corridor, they see some graves. They ignore them and walk forward. That's when they find a grave with Rachel's name on it. Besides it, there is an unfinished grave that seems to be for Zach. He tries to break it, but Rachel tells him that he can't break it with his scythe. Zach tells her to do her job and quickly find the exit, as he doesn't intend to die with her. Rachel points at a narrow entrance in the wall and tells him that she should take a look. Zach agrees and tells her to make it quick. Rachel tells Zach that he should also look for clues while she is gone. Entering the narrow space, Rachel sees that it leads to a long corridor, but turns around to tell Zach to not destroy her grave. After walking for some time, she reaches a room. She finds a letter from the owner of this floor saying that he wants to meet her, but Zach is in the way. He also expresses that he likes her and he has prepared a special grave for her. Meanwhile, Zach can't find any clue, but he finds a pickaxe. He uses it to break his grave and then talks trash about the owner of this floor. Then his mind snaps, and he starts breaking all of the graves. While breaking the graves, a stone piece of a grave activates a trigger which opens the door next to Rachel. She opens the door and walks down the corridor, which leads to a library. There, she hears a creepy laugh and finds a list of people who were murdered in this building. She also finds that there is information about both of them on that list. Meanwhile, Zach is still breaking the graves and wondering if he should break Rachel's too. Rachel finds another letter from the owner of the third floor. He wrote that he knows what Rachel really wants. As Zach was about to destroy Rachel's grave, he remembers her telling him not to do it. Just a moment later, Rachel comes back. Zach asks her if she found anything. Rachel replies that she found a paper which had information about her. Zach says that he doesn't care. That's when Rachel shows her that she found information about him too. Zach doesn't reply and ignores her. Rachel then reads his name on the paper, which is Isaac Foster. She starts reading about his past. As she was doing so, Zach threateningly asks her how she felt. Rachel says that she doesn't care. Zach asks if she isn't scared of him. Rachel replies that she isn't. Zach shares an incident of a time when someone said the same thing. We see that Zach is chasing a blonde girl. Zach asks if she is scared of him, and the girl replies that she is not. Then the girl tries to seduce Zach, but a guy grabs her hair and throws her to the ground. Zach is amused, so he gives her 5 seconds to run instead of 3. After Zach catches her again, he asks why she was running if she isn't afraid. The girl admits that she was lying and starts crying. Zach says that he hates lies and then stabs her. Rachel asks if he will kill her if she runs and follows the proper steps. Zach remembers that she is a psycho and avoids the question by asking if she found anything else. Rachel says that she saw a locked room and now they have to find the trigger to open it. Zach gets annoyed because they have to find another trigger, so he releases his frustration by smashing Rachel's grave. After roaming for some while, they reach back to the elevator. Rachel points at the bubbles in the water and asks Zach to go there since that might be the trigger. Zach agrees and gets into the water. Rachel randomly asks if he is actually going to kill her. Zach says that she should commit suicide if she is that desperate. Rachel reveals that the reason she doesn't commit suicide is because God says suicide is bad. Zach tells her that if she wants him to kill her, she has to make a happy face. Rachel tries but can't do it. Zach then moves towards the bubbles and activates the trigger by stepping on it. Rachel goes to the room and Zach strolls right and left while waiting for her. That's when the lights turn off and a boy with a coconut mask comes out from the dark. Zach tries to attack him, but the kid dodges by jumping back. The coconut boy introduces himself as Eddie. Eddie says that he fell in love at first sight with Rachel. He says that he always made graves for dead people, so it was getting boring. He also expresses how he wants to make the perfect grave for Rachel because she is the only one he can relate to. Zach tries to hit him again, but he dodges and disappears in the dark. Meanwhile, Rachel enters the new unlocked door. Walking down the corridor, she finds another letter from Eddie saying that Rachel shouldn't worry because they both want the same thing. Then he appears right behind her and asks Rachel to entrust her body to him by saying a simple yes. He also adds that he won't try to kill her out of the blue like others. Meanwhile, Zach is waiting for Rachel, but realizes that Eddie might be trying to outsmart him, so he goes to find the pickaxe to break the narrow wall. Meanwhile, Eddie is still urging Rachel to say yes, but Rachel replies that if she dies, then Zach can't get out of here. While they are talking, Zach bangs at the wall right behind Rachel. Eddie gets annoyed and asks her to choose quickly between him and Zach. He even gets on his knees and proposes to her by saying that he will give her a beautiful rest for eternity. Rachel is stunned by this and is about to accept his offer. That's when Zach says that there are a lot of people in this building who want to kill her, but swears to God that he will be the one to do it. Then he breaks the wall with a swift blow of his scythe, which is kind of logical considering he couldn't even break a stone earlier. Anyways, when Zach enters the room, he sees that Eddie has disappeared. He criticizes Rachel, saying that she will probably die pretty soon even if he doesn't kill her. She agrees, but asks Zach if he really swears to God to kill her. Zach pins her to the wall and says that he hates lies, indicating that he doesn't lie. Then they both set out to find the exit once again. While walking, they meet Eddie. He tries to convince Rachel to come with him. Rachel declines, saying that Zach swore to God. Eddie gets enraged, saying that Rachel belongs to him since this is his floor. Zach starts mocking him, which makes him even more angry. Eddie gets furious, saying that they don't get to make a choice. Then he tries to attack Rachel, but gets blocked by Zach. Eddie tries to bait Zach into attacking by mocking him, but Zach remains calm. Then the lights go off, and Eddie states that Zach can't do anything if he can't see. Then Zach gets hit out of nowhere, and he starts to swing his scythe aimlessly. Zach keeps getting hit, so he gets frustrated and asks Rachel to search for the light switch. While searching for the light switch, Rachel finds a grave filled with flowers. When she goes near it, she gets sucker punched by Eddie and falls to the ground. Just as Eddie is about to kill her, Rachel shines a flashlight at his face and pushes him. Then she takes his remote and turns on the light. Just as Eddie gets up, Zach smashes his mask, which reveals his face. As Eddie falls down, Zach pierces his chest with his scythe. Then Zach pushes the tombstone to cover the grave. Zach says that he is impressed by how Rachel knew that the remote was the light switch. Rachel states that the timing of the lights going out was too perfect. Zach asks her to find the elevator quickly. Rachel presses a button on Eddie's remote and the elevator appears. They get into the elevator and it climbs to the next floor. When they reach the 4th floor, they see that their way is obstructed by prison bars. Rachel gets closer and notices that there is a door. Then she states that it's locked. Zach gets annoyed and asks her to find a way. Rachel touches her bag, and Zach asks if she has something in there. Rachel says that she has a needle and a thread. Zach asks if she can unlock the door with the needle, but Rachel replies that there is no lock on the door. Zach wants to smash the door with his scythe, but Rachel reminds him that it is made of iron. Zach, being a dumbass, still tries to smash it. It doesn't break, but it activates an alarm and a machine gun gets activated. It fires at them, but they dodge in time. Then a voice comes from the camera behind them. It seems to be a female, and she apologizes for making them wait, saying that she fell asleep while waiting for them, and she is excited to get them since they would make fantastic criminals. Zach says he doesn't care and asks her to open the door. The door opens, and when Zach and Rachel enter, they are greeted with confetti. That's when the female voice announces that she is the judge. Zach and Rachel start walking down the hallway, and they stumble at a corridor where they see a few rooms. The judge announces that criminals have to go through a process before being imprisoned. Then she opens up a room for them and tells them to take their mug shots. She also provides them with name boards. They obediently agree to it since they have no other way. Rachel takes a good picture of Zach, while Zach doesn't know how to use a camera and clicks a blurry one. They show the pictures to the camera, and the judge opens up another room for them. While walking to the room, the judge says that she has prepared some fantastic executions for them. They ignore her and go directly for the room. When they open the door, they see that this room looks like an execution chamber. They notice that there is a way at one corner of the room which is blocked by bars. As they get closer, they notice that it's locked. Rachel asks if he is not going to try and smash it. Zach gets annoyed because he knows that she is obviously making fun of him, but swallowing his pride, he asks her to find a way. After searching for some time, Rachel says that she can't figure out the mechanism. Zach gets annoyed and says that he is tired, so his dumbass sits on the obviously looking electric chair. Rachel says that he shouldn't sit on that chair because it's obviously an electric chair, but Zach doesn't get any time to react and gets caught in the electric chair. Then a TV descends from the top, and a middle-aged woman introduces herself as Kathy. She is the judge of this floor. Zach curses her and asks to let him go, but Kathy replies that she can't be a judge if she doesn't punish a criminal. She gets excited, saying that she wants to see how much punishment Zach can endure before he dies. Then she presses a button on her table, which activates the electric chair, and Zach gets electrocuted. Zach yells out in pain, which seems to make Kathy satisfied. Zach's body goes limp, and Rachel thinks that he is dead. But Zach gets his head up and curses Kathy again. Kathy is astonished to see that Zach is still alive since most people don't survive. Zach threatens to kill her if she doesn't let him go. Kathy says that if Rachel solves the puzzle, she will set him free. But until Rachel does that, she is going to keep the electricity flowing. Rachel asks to not do that since that will kill Zach. Kathy replies that it will be fun and that sinners have no right of choice. Zach asks Rachel to find the solution quickly since he is itching to kill Kathy. The dolls in the room start to move their heads right and left in complete rhythm. Rachel starts looking for a solution, while Zach keeps getting electrocuted. Then Rachel picks up Zach's scythe and starts cutting the dolls, which stops the electric chair from working. Rachel then checks up on Zach and finds that he is okay. Kathy appears on the TV again and starts clapping, expressing how astonished she is by Zach's endurance. Then she starts yapping, so Zach breaks the TV. Then they proceed onto the other room, which has a danger mark on the door. Rachel says that they should be careful, but Zach tells her that it's faster to keep moving instead of screwing around. When they enter the room, the door behind them closes and they get trapped. Rachel takes a look around the room and notices some weird things like a gas mask, a weighing machine, and a dead body. Dumb Zach tries to hit the wall but finds out that it's too strong. That's when Kathy appears on the TV that's on the wall of the room. She explains how the room works. She says that the room is airtight so no air can get in. The windows are reinforced so they can't be broken, and she is going to slowly release poison gas into the room. Kathy also says that if they take too long, she is going to release deadly gas to kill them instantly. The TV turns off and poison gas starts coming out from vents. Zach puts the mask on Rachel's face, but she says that Zach should wear it. They argue a little and Zach ends up wearing the mask. Then they start searching for clues. They turn over the corpse and find a poem written on the ground. Rachel reads the poem and deciphers its meaning. That's when she starts coughing, so Zach puts the mask on her. Then she asks Zach to put the right foot of the corpse on the scale, and Zach reluctantly does as asked. Then she puts a bag on the other side of the scale to balance it. She then starts looking around the room for the next clue but can't see clearly through the mask, so she takes it off. Meanwhile, Kathy is grinning and laughing like a psycho. Then we see a sand clock, which suggests that they don't have much time left. Rachel's mind gets foggy and she falls to the ground. She thinks she is going to die, but Zach pulls her up, saying that it's too soon for her to die. He puts the mask back on her face. Rachel starts looking around and notices that a duct in the ceiling has opened up, so Zach picks her up and launches her into the duct. In there, she finds a card key and comes back down. Zach tries to use the card key to open the door, but accidentally breaks it. Kathy starts laughing hysterically, as she is amused at how dumb Zach is. Zach says that she should open the door since they came this far, but Kathy blatantly refuses, saying that criminals have to obey the rules. At the same moment, their time runs out and Kathy releases the deadly gas while continuously laughing like a psycho. Rachel racks her brain and gets something out of her bag that looks like dynamite. She thinks that since the gas is deadly, it might also be combustible. She puts the dynamite thingy near the door and it blasts, which breaks all of the things in the whole room, including the windows and the door. But somehow, Zach and Rachel come out unscathed. Zach is impressed by Rachel's quick thinking, but the poison has taken quite a toll on Rachel, so she falls to the ground. Somehow she gets up, and while they are walking to the other room, Zach asks Rachel to walk faster. Rachel replies that she can't because she is tired. So, Zach finds a place where the cameras can't see them, and they both take a nap. While taking a nap, Zach dreams about his past, and when Rachel wakes him up, he seems pretty frustrated and angry because he is reminded of his horrible past. While walking to the next room, Kathy tries to gaslight Zach by saying that they are both tools using each other as tools. Zach gets angry, but tries to remain as calm as possible. Then they get into the next room where they see a dollhouse and a lot of drawers. Zach recognizes this dollhouse as this is an exact replica of the house he was sold to when he was young. The door closes. Kathy explains that one of them has to be the navigator, while the other one will be the worker. The navigator will solve the puzzle and the worker will do as the navigator says. Rachel chooses the navigator and Zach becomes the worker. Then a drawer opens and Rachel takes out a piece of paper from it. There seems to be a math problem on it. Rachel solves the problem in her head and the answer comes out as P is 266, L is 27, and W is 12. Then she sees a book on the side. She deciphers that the meaning of the math problem is page 266, line 27, and word 12. When she flips to that page, she finds the word man. Then somehow she finds that Zach has to put the man on the living room sofa. Zach is annoyed because he knows that Kathy is trying to play with his emotions, but he still does the task reluctantly. The next task is to put the woman doll to the man doll's right. Zach is pretty enraged, but still does so. Then the other tasks replicate the same exact events that happened in Zach's childhood, like digging graves for the other children and burying them. When the puzzle is complete, Zach smashes the dollhouse into pieces. The door between Rachel and Zach closes and they get separated. When they enter the next room, they see that they are separated by a fence. Zach tries hitting the door, but it obviously doesn't open. Then Kathy comes out and is excited to meet them in person. Zach can't reach her as they are separated by a transparent barrier. She explains that they can open the door if they inject. The syringe is on the tables behind them, but the catch is that one of them has vitamins while the other contains a deadly drug. Rachel asks if she should take both the shots herself, but Zach doesn't agree. He takes the syringe from Rachel and injects both into his arm. Both doors open and they both walk out. Zach's head is spinning, but he keeps moving. When he meets Rachel, he puts a scythe on her neck saying that he wants to kill her. Rachel says that it's fine to kill her, which makes Zach even more angry. Zach then pushes Rachel and tells her to run because he can't control his urge to kill her anymore. Rachel starts running, and she justifies her actions by saying that this is not to save herself, but rather for Zach's sake. Zach has lost his mind because of the drugs and chases Rachel like a psycho. After running for some time, Rachel gets into a strange room filled with machine guns and finds herself at a dead end. Zach catches up to her, and when he is about to swing his scythe, one of the guns shoots his arm. That's when Kathy reveals herself behind the glass frame. She says that this is the firing room and she can control all the guns with the wand in her hand. She is amazed that Zach can't control his impulse no matter how much he fights them and calls him the ideal criminal. Zach picks up his scythe and tries to hit the frame protecting Kathy, but doesn't even get a scratch on it. As he was about to hit the frame again, Kathy shoots his leg and tells him that he is after the wrong person. She then does a light show and gives Rachel a gun. She announces that only one of them can survive, and one has to die. Rachel picks up the gun and points it at Zach but doesn't shoot and puts it down. Meanwhile, Zach wants her to kill him since he can't control his urge anymore, but Rachel doesn't even try. Having no option left, Zach gives in to his urge and asks Rachel to make a better face before he kills her. Rachel does so, and just when she thinks she is about to die, Zach turns the scythe on himself and cuts open his own stomach. Kathy gets angry as she didn't want it to play out like this. She gets out of her cubicle and slaps Rachel with her hand whip, saying that it won't be any fun killing someone as boring as her. Then she points the guns towards Rachel, and just when she is about to shoot, Zach's hand twitches, indicating that he is alive. Kathy gets so happy that she even gets a few orgasms. Then she stomps on his face while laughing like a psycho. Seeing this, Rachel gets angry and points the gun at Kathy. Kathy isn't even a bit scared and tries to provoke Rachel into shooting her. Rachel keeps pointing the gun at Kathy but doesn't shoot. Kathy remarks that the gun wasn't even loaded. Then she shows her dominance by shooting at the gun in Rachel's hand. After that, she laughs like a maniac, which reminds Rachel of her past memories. She takes out a gun from her bag and shoots Kathy without any hesitation. Kathy tries to point her wand at Rachel, but Zach slices off her arm. We see that Zach has gotten up, and he says that he couldn't resist killing Kathy because she was being a little too happy. Then he swiftly slices her abdomen and Kathy falls to the ground. She goes crawling towards her wand and activates it, but the guns misfire since they were not pointed anywhere. Rachel asks Zach if he is okay. Zach says he is fine, even though he lost so much blood. Then they enter the control room and find that this is where Kathy controlled everything. Rachel then opens the back door and they start searching for the elevator. We see that Zach's bleeding hasn't stopped. Rachel then reads a poem that's written on the wall but doesn't think much of it. They walk a bit further and notice that they are back at the starting area. They open the room where they took their mugshots. They find that the wall is open and it seems like the elevator is right behind it. Zach asks Rachel to find the solution. Rachel notices the indentation on the side of the wall. She realizes that their name cards would perfectly fit into the indentation. Then she inserts Zach's name card and the elevator opens. Then they get into the elevator, and Zach praises Rachel about how she shot Kathy with a bang. They talk a little, and Rachel sees Zach smiling for the first time. As the elevator reaches the next floor, Rachel gets up to leave, but Zach falls down, and Rachel sees that Zach has bled a lot. This season 1 of the anime, Angels of Death or Satsuriku no Tenshi, has come to an end. Now we have to wait for season 2, which will be released very soon. If you like this video, be sure to put a like and subscribe to the channel.